Catherine, welcome. We're doing our weekly newsletter video here, and we're excited to learn more about you.
Thank you so much, Ben. I'm thrilled to be here, and it's kind of funny to be in the reverse
Yeah,
chair.
yeah, it's an interesting experience for both of us. We're not in our usual seats here.
Oh.
So, why don't you start with telling us a bit about your background?
I'll do my best not to be too long-winded. I'd summarize it by saying thus far I've been a part of a lot of entrepreneurial communities, and I've really loved that. It was not my plan. I think when I was in sixth grade, I decided I wanted to be in government and public policy, which I think was coming from the essence and feeling of wanting to create programs that help people and benefit people. I think I went to school for public policy, but then it was during college I had a wonderful job that did research on actually how to launch business incubator programs and accelerator programs throughout the Midwest in a lot of rural areas. We were doing market and feasibility studies to set up, these programs, which were essentially how to support entrepreneurs in these communities. And I began to fall in love with that kind of work, and also found it a little frustrating to work with the bureaucratic elements of government and grant writing and some of the larger entities that were in the more public sphere, and found that I was more of the kind of person who just wants to, okay, if you can do it, you can do it. You don't need 5 years of experience and like another stamp of approval and, all sorts of things. I'm like, let's just build it. It's sitting right here. Let's go. So I was lucky that when I moved to Chicago, I got introduced to Raman Chadha, who became when we met, he had an idea for the Junto Institute, didn't tell me about that our first meeting, but then 9 months later emailed and was like, hey, I'm thinking about starting something called the Junto Institute. Do you want to talk about it? And long story short, we ended up launching that idea of his together as co-founders and ran the Junto Institute in Chicago together. The Junto Institute then was an apprenticeship program for entrepreneurs and leadership teams of startups that were going into their growth stage. So we were, at the time, it was, teams of like 10 to 100 people who were usually over a revenue threshold of like 10 million or so. And it was really helping the leadership team together both up-level their emotional intelligence and their leadership skills and learn. It was almost like a real-world tangible MBA in terms of the content. They were learning from entrepreneurs who had been there and done that. Your dad is one of them.
Yep.
He was teaching the class on relationship management and emotional intelligence topic. And that's how we met. And then there were other amazing serial entrepreneurs and business leaders who were different mentors and teachers of classes, and everything was rooted in sharing experiences and not giving advice. And the reason for that was when we do give advice anyways, it's all coming from our experiences. So it's actually way more valuable if we share the story behind the advice we're giving, because then we're arming the other person with that information and then allowing them to make their own decision with more information rather than just imposing on them the decision that we made from our own biases and our own experiences and our own feelings. It's more important to just share the information and where that decision came from. So I loved it. It was an incredible experience. Yeah.
I think your passion for experience shares translate well with what we're doing here as also.
It easily weaves in. And I really do get lit up about one of the things I loved, because I was a co-founder of Junto when I was in my 20s. And so I relate to you in terms of founding something with really like these people come in and they're sharing these stories from these years and years of doing business. And it's kind of like you're getting the creme de la creme, like the most perfect ideas that have come from like decades and years of like thinking and working and trying again and doing it differently, and just receiving all of the information from that very top level of really well-intentioned business people. And now this is like their golden nugget, and it's like, oh, wow. And then we got to even use those pieces in terms of how we were growing and organizing and managing the Junto Institute as a business itself. And so I just felt like this is what I know of business. And it's so beautiful because I'm feeling that same feeling here, where you're getting to talk to people about their most brilliant epiphanies, realizations, now how they've operated a business after learning and growing. And it's just to receive that kind of information is a gift. Yes.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for telling us your story, and we'll be back with another newsletter soon.
Thank you, Ben.